I'm Sarah Burke. This is the Women in Media podcast. I am so excited about today's guest. She is a podcast and content development specialist. You might know her name as a former executive producer of program development at CBC News, but she is starting a podcast with the most awesome title called Furball Confidential. I'm excited to welcome Jennifer Moroz. How are you?
I'm great. So happy to be here. Every time I hear that title, it does.
That's how you know you're on the right track.
But it takes forever to come up with a title, doesn't it? Anyway.
Oh, it does. Literally, the last meeting I had before you, we're working on titles all the time here at Women in Media Network.
I know. But I'm happy with this one, and I'm so thrilled that it's like now coming out into the world.
Yes. So you're about a month away from release at the time of this recording of your big launch.
Yep.
But in order to understand, your storytelling and your view on podcasting, we kind of have to go back in time a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So just to understand like your experience in media, I mean, I've interviewed for jobs at CBC before, but that was like your big job. I think I saw that it was like 12 years you were there.
I was there 12 years in multiple roles. So I moved around departments. I was a producer for The Current with Anna Maria Tremonti and then ran that show. No big deal. And then I ran Q after the Jian Ghomeshi scandal. I came in and reworked the show with Tom Power.
Yeah.
So I have had
great, by the way.
It is doing great. That's right.
Yeah.
He's a fabulous host. And then I did program development for CBC News. So that's where I really entered the world of podcasting in a real way, because it was at a time when podcasting was hot and CBC News wanted to jump on the train. So we did Front Burner, Party Lines.
I still listen to Front Burner too. It's in my favorites. Yep.
It's my daily dose. Yeah. So that's how I came into podcasting, and then I branched out from there.
Cool. What was your first job in media?
Oh my God. That's such a good question. I was an associate editor for, it's kind of a trade it was the Canadian Footwear Journal.
Canadian Footwear Journal.
There was a Canadian Footwear Journal. That's right. And it was run out of Montreal. And so I think that was my first like actual job. There were some like little internships and things, but that was a first job. And then after I went to journalism school after that. And then I went to the Philadelphia Inquirer in the States. Yeah. So I was in the States for 10 years of my career. And for all of it, I was in newspapers.
What called you to the US? Like other than the job and even applying for a job in the US? And then what called you back?
So what called me there was the program. I went to Northwestern, and at the time it was, and still is, a very highly regarded journalism program. And I got in, and when you go to the States, I'm not sure if it's the same now. So much has changed down there. But you got a 1-year work visa when you did a master's. I did my master's in journalism, got a 1-year work visa, got hired by the Philadelphia Inquirer, and then stayed in the States, got an H-1B visa and stayed in the States for 10 years, worked at the Philadelphia Inquirer and the Savannah Morning News.
Cool. We have more in common than you even know. I went to journalism school as well. Was print the dream at the time for you?
Interestingly, no.
Okay.
And this is actually, wow. So I applied initially to go into TV, which at the time was, everybody wanted to go into TV and be a foreign correspondent.
Yeah.
And I got turned down, and I turned around my application for print because I'd always been a strong writer, and I'd always loved writing as well. And so that's actually how I got, life is funny sometimes, eh? That's how I ended up going the print route. But then I came back, right? Because so when I came back to Canada, in the States, all of the newspapers were starting, this is going to be a familiar story, all the newspapers were starting to fold. When I was first there used to be, like in major cities, there would be 2 competing newspapers, and at the time I was at the Philadelphia Inquirer for my second stint, and they were going through layoffs after layoffs. And I managed to survive the layoffs, but I'm sure a lot of people listening will understand, if you you've survived them, but you're watching all your colleagues and friends go. It was
Yeah.
a bit of a sad time, and I just thought this might be time because it had been sold twice to the Philadelphia Inquirer at that point, and I thought, "I think it's time to come home." And so
Mm.
I came back to the Hour. I came back to TV. Weirdly enough, the Hour with George
Okay.
Stroumboulopoulos, if some
Right.
of your
Yeah, yeah.
listeners will remember that.
I was hoping
Um,
that they would.
yeah.
It's hard with generations now. I know, you never
No,
know. Yeah.
sometimes I'll mention it and I have to if it's someone younger than, I
Yes.
am, I have to say,
Try explaining who Jan Arden is.
"Fair
I get
enough."
I get
Yeah.
it. I get it.
Yeah. So that's what drew me home. At the time, I just felt, newspapers were starting to feel their death,
Mhm.
and, I was ready to come home too. And glad I did. I mean, nothing
No, yeah.
the way things have unfolded have all unfolded from there.
Yeah. How was it working with Strombo?
It was honestly that team was one of the most amazing teams I've ever been a part of, and I've been a part of some, like, great teams. Um, it was such a fun show to work on.
And this was Kirsten Stewart era,
Yes, it
correct?
was. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good memory. Yeah, it was. And honestly, if you look back at that staff and you draw lines to where everyone's gone, they've all gone on to do such incredible things. It's wild. So it was like a wonderful experience. Working with Strombo was super fun. I mean, he's
Yeah.
obviously never in my life have I been so ahead the rest of the world on, what music is gonna hit when, because
Yeah.
he is a great prognosticator of such things. So,
Oh, yeah.
it was fun. It was intense, but it was
Yeah.
it was a really fun time, and I'm in touch with a lot of those people to this day.
So who maybe was mentoring you or setting you up for success or inspiring you, motivating you in the time at CBC? And was it a woman?
That's a really good question. Well, you know what? There's a lot of strong like, coming up in, CBC Radio, which is where I landed after the Hour. CBC Radio, even sort of back in the day, was run by women.
Love that.
And so there were a lot of, there were a lot of women to look up to and see, as role models for leadership roles. I would say, actually, one of the guests on Furball Confidential, Anna Maria Tremonti,
Good. I'm so
in
glad you have her. It would be silly if you didn't.
oh, I mean, she's such a wonderful journalist. And what most people don't and, maybe don't know about her because they just have heard her, on air and maybe just in the context of The Current,
Yeah.
where she is a badass. She's a really, like, hard-nosed journalist, but she's got this other side of her that is just so incredibly,
Yeah.
like, fun and playful and silly, and that totally comes out in her episode.
I can't wait. We are going to talk about the podcast, I
Yep.
swear, because that's the reason you're here for sure.
Listen,
But
don't worry. We'll get to it. I'm not worried at all.
there's a little bit of media nerding first. That's
That's
all.
okay. I'm all about the nerding.
Yeah. So, what do you think your biggest lesson was coming out of like this CBC environment? Which I think there's like two media types, right? You either have worked in the CBC environment or you're working in privately owned media, right?
Yeah.
So, tell me.
So, I mean, it's just two completely different experiences, right? Like
Yeah.
what what I got the chance to do at CBC, it's hard to get that sort of experience anywhere in Canada, really. And, I did move around in the CBC. I worked for CBC Music and radio and TV. And as someone who likes to move around and to experiment,
Yeah.
that was wonderful. The security is wonderful too if you've
Of
got a
course.
full-time job there. But I think the difference is you realize once you've left the CBC, you know, some of the things that you took for granted, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes more than one person working on a show or do you know what I mean? And when you're out in the
Yeah.
podcasting world, especially amongst like independent creators, you're not getting that sort of resource. Um
Totally.
and so I'm glad I've had both experiences. I think I um, I think I've taken what I've learned at the CBC and just kind of run with it. And
Okay.
again, I don't like to be bored. So for me, staying in one place my entire
Yeah.
career
That
was
wasn't the
not for
plan.
me.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people it is, and that's fine too. But I just, if you look at my resume, it's, every 3 years there's a major sort of shift that takes place.
Yeah.
So it's been good for me to be outside.
And we're going to move on from the CBC after this last question. What do you think your biggest challenge was in your time at CBC?
Oh, well, I mean, the biggest challenge, but also I will say this, the biggest reward, possibly was Q.
Like
Going into,
rebuilding it?
well, rebuilding it, I mean, that show had been so traumatized, behind the scenes, and it's one of the places that I actually, I've always believed in that connection between what happens behind the scenes affects what goes out on air, but
Oh, yeah.
right? Like, but
Listen to any morning show in any radio environment, right? Like you can tell when
yes,
something's wrong.
yes, exactly right, and so this was like that to the nth degree, but CBC gave me the support. The team was amazing and rose to the occasion. Um, so it was tough, but it was honestly one of the most rewarding
Hmm.
experiences of my career. Um, Watching that show flourish.
And, even from the outside looking in, I wouldn't have even thought of Gameshi. You brought it up, right? I
Right.
think the average listener thinks of
May not even.
Q,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
think of Q in the edition of Q that is current, and you had a part in building that, and that goes to tell you how well the rebuild actually went. So
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's
yeah.
what led me actually into the redevelopment of that show, is what led me to CBC News development. So there's always like a bit of a fork in the road. And then that's what took me in that direction.
So you left to take just kind of a leap of faith and try something else. It didn't work out. You're in the middle of a global pandemic. And this is something that I've sort of gone through myself, although it happened differently. Did you have sort of like this chapter of who am I if I'm not attached to this Sirius XM brand for you at CBC?
Oh, yes, 100%. And and not just that, but also as I left the CBC, I branched out into more like storytelling in a broader sense. So not just journalistic storytelling, because even when I was at Q,
Yeah.
we followed a journalistic model. So now it's now I do a little bit more branching out from that. And so that's been a weird identity shift too, right? Like if you know yourself as a journalist, like that's what I was. And now if you ask me to describe myself, I might say I came up through journalism and I sometimes still work in journalism, but I'm
Yeah.
not just a journalist. And that's a weird
Yeah.
identity thing too.
Yeah. And for me, I think it was like I mean, sure, I'm still public facing. I have a podcast, which you're on right now. But, it was most of my work was about what I was putting out on air or output, right? And then it became about others' output and
Yes.
crafting the story and framing other people's stories.
Yes.
It was a big shift for me too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like when I was reading up on your stuff, I mean, I was just like glancing at your LinkedIn profile. I'm like, oh, we're gonna talk about this. Okay, we're gonna talk about this. So now like you're kind of out on your own. By the way, she does some executive coaching, right? And a bunch of consultation. I'll have links in the show notes if you want to check out any of her work and her podcast. But as you're, walking the podcast specialist path,
Hmm.
and then you decide, oh, I'm actually gonna do a podcast myself. How did
Yes.
that happen?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I have like I'm always having a million ideas of things that I could make, and then I always shelve them, right? Like in favor of, oh, well, that's not going to make me money right now, but there's a client who's bringing a project in, and so I can work on someone else's vision and get paid. So there was a little bit of I kept throwing things off. But then this idea that I had was one of those ones that just didn't go away. You know, the
It was like
nagging
nagging.
feelings that just come back to you. And I'm like, I really think this is a good idea. And the idea is Furball Confidential came because I adopted a rescue dog named Clutch about 4 years ago. And she completely transformed my life in a way I was kind of blown away by. And I was so struck by how different I can be. For example, like, and we all have different faces we put on, but when I'm in my day-to-day work versus who I am alone with Clutch are two like completely different people, right? And when I was at the Current and at Q, especially when we had, the big name guests come on, and it was always this battle of like, how are we going to get something new out of this person? How are we going to like get at their humanity in a way that hasn't been done before? And then I got Clutch and I was like, well, duh, like this is how you get at their humanity. Like and this is actually in one of the episodes, so I'm not giving as a middle-aged woman, I race my dog up the stairs and jump on the bed. And it's like, it's a side I just didn't know that I had before. You know what I mean? And so I was like, if this is, and then you see it out there, and with the demographics as they are, generationally, more and more people are, viewing their pets as children. Or pets are definitely taking up a much bigger role in our lives, especially right. And at a time like this, I remember seeing a meme where it said like the pets of the world are carrying like an awful like mental load stress right now, right? Because of the world. And so to answer your question, like part of it too was I just needed some fun and some light and some love. Like, well, that sounds a bit cheesy, but and so it was such a fun project to lean into. And so once I'd made the decision of, because you can toy with a decision and go back and forth and back and forth. And that's what I was doing because I was scared, right? Like I was scared I've developed lots of podcasts that have,
and you've been behind the scenes for most of them.
I've been behind the scenes for like almost all of my career. And to put myself out there, but also to put myself out there as like a podcast specialist, like, I'm like, oh, what if I fail? But once I got over that hump, like fear I see this spectrum, and I talk about it in coaching too, like of fear and excitement, right? If you can just get the dial from the fear, like halfway, then it leans into excitement, and then you're off to the races. And that's what happened with and especially with the team that I brought on board.
Let's shout them out because they're mutual pals.
Yes. So we've got Danny Stover, who's a mutual pal of yours. Danny
Former
Stover,
Indie 88 host, and we also worked at Chorus Entertainment together back in the day.
Yes. Marina Hanna, who's doing audience development, and who as well.
Yeah, a fun fact, she was my roommate for the pod show in London.
Right.
That's
how you met, I think, right?
Yeah, we met at a dinner. And I asked her to be my roommate by the end of the dinner.
Listen,
I was like, I can't go budget-wise unless I have a roommate. So let me know if you're thinking about this because I'm serious and I would just like to know I'm safe and with someone that I have mutual pals with, and this might be great for us. So we did.
That's so great. So great. So there's those two, and then also a big shout out to Talia Schlanger, who is an amazing host in her own right. Fun fact, out of all the people who are working on this podcast, 3 have hosted before. Who's hosting? The person who well, I have done some on-air stuff, but it's been a long time. Yeah, so
good team.
A great team. Talia has hosted on CBC and is a great producer, and she kind of locked arms with me early on. And Reza Daya has done the editing. So yeah, it's a really great team. And another shout out to Adrian Foro, who did our very cool art.
Okay. And I mean, talk about getting all the right things to reflect the vibe of this project. Like even You were telling me about the intro music. Tell me about that and how Talia put that together, please.
Yeah, 'cause, it's so Talia, amongst other things, amongst being an amazing host and producer, is also a very talented musician.
Yes.
Uh, put out her debut album, last year, Grace for the Going, definitely go listen to it, it's beautiful. But she put together the theme music using had the idea for it and then did it with, David Travers Smith, um, using found sound. So we gathered all the sounds of our pets, clutches, a woo, jingle on a collar, clutch eating her crunchies. So
Oh my
and
god.
building out of that, they created this amazing theme. And that energy, I've got to say, like that energy, that creative energy of someone like Talia, who has just pulled off this amazing feat of putting out a debut album into the world, like a big creative project.
Yeah.
You and I were chatting before we started this. Like for me, I needed that energy to help me like get from
Yeah.
that fear to the excitement part, like just lock arms with someone who has done something this, big like this before. And Rez was the same thing. So Rez is an amazing audio engineer, but he's also a filmmaker. And so he had just put out his first feature film and brought that energy to the project too, which just was invaluable.
So as someone who also rescued a pup recently, my Stevie, we're gonna have our gotcha day. Wait, what's your launch date again for your podcast?
October 4th.
Okay, yeah. Our gotcha date is October 2nd. And I'm like, what do you do to celebrate? Like, what do I do for her? I don't know. Like, I don't know what are the
The
rules?
protocol,
The protocol.
I think the protocol is you go to Pet Value or your like
Let them pick
store of
something.
choice and like either let them pick something or like feel like those like little cookies that they have at the front at the desk with the
That are
like
$15?
that
Yeah.
yeah, those are the ones that they want you to buy and give to. I think I did buy one, don't judge me, for
That's
Clutch
okay.
last
I
year.
might fall into it, but um when you said that getting clutch, when you said that getting clutch changed your life,
Yeah.
let me tell you I understand. Um so a little thing about me, I'm allergic to most pets,
Oh.
cats and dogs. So
Oh.
I had lived my entire life not snuggling a dog because I
Oh.
was aware I was allergic from a very young age, like a crazy hospital visit with my mom. And during the pandemic, it was before I was in this condo, but I had a neighbor at the other apartment building, and the dog kept coming on the patio and like scratching at the screen door. And so I started letting her in and letting, the neighbor know this is like 2020. The woman had just had a baby. So she was up to her ears and she was a single mom. I
Yeah.
offered, can I take the dog for a walk? Can I take the dog down? I got more out of that than I think she ever thought. Like we didn't
What a great
know.
story.
So that was Delilah. And that's really what like opened this door for me. And then as soon like I would miss her when I didn't see her. And, there were times that she came and stayed at my place for weeks at a time. It was so special.
Oh,
So I started fostering in like at the end of last summer, 2024 summer, because I had a friend who was working with one of the adoption agencies, and I felt like it was a good vibe.
yeah.
And, I wanted the first dog that I was matched with so much, but I was so allergic, I couldn't do it. A little pup named, what was her name? Cherry. And funny enough, my neighbor at the cottage adopted her, so I still get to see her.
That's so great.
Right? And then, okay, so going back to like how this has changed my life. So Stevie was the next dog, and she was the right one right away.
You're a foster fail too.
And it was a foster to adopt situation, but they were like, yeah, if you end up being allergic to her, we understand, right? So, yeah, I cannot believe how it has changed my mornings, right? The getting out of bed for someone other than yourself is very different. And I'm not someone who was like staying in bed all day or anything like that, but like I'm getting up for her. I'm not, taking my sweet time. Like it's like, no, Stevie's got to go out. And even like being more present in anything I'm doing, coming home to someone so excited to see you. Oh my God. Like I don't need a man. I've been single. I've been single for this year and like I haven't even thought about it. I don't care.
Honestly, I sort of joke. It's like a joke, not joke, but
Yeah.
like, do we do it? Yeah. Do you need a partner when you've got a dog? Like, it's
Yes.
unconditional, and like they
Yes.
just, you can, have a bad day, and the next day they're back up there
Yeah, and how
wagging their
they know
tails.
when you're having a bad day is the craziest magic that I've ever experienced, like, to have someone's little paw come when you like, I'm like, "How do you even know I'm upset?" Like, this is so ridiculous. But
Yes, but they
I
do.
love it. I think this is such a universal topic. Like you said, I think there are more pets taking up space in the family system now,
Hmm.
even as it relates to kind of what I was just joking about. Like, I think a lot more people are comfortable being single or not getting pregnant and having kids, right? Like, I think there's just so much more of that, and the pet has taken over that space.
Yep. Yep, 100%. So I'm also single, and
Okay.
and through there was the pandemic, and then I had
Yeah.
a failed relationship, and then
I had one of those too.
that, right? And then I sort of went, "Oh, well, maybe I'll get a dog, and I'll
Yeah.
just I'll just foster, so it's no
Yeah.
commitment, but I'll have, and then it was like I was not meant to foster, clearly. Like, it was
Foster fail.
foster fail, yeah, or I think the place that, where I got her from, called it a foster fiesta because they wanted to make it more positive.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I love that. So there's also a Substack
Yeah,
that Jen's writing in, and you know what? Well, that's another thing we share in common. Love writing myself, and if I had a little more time, I think I'd have a Substack that was doing something right now, but I don't. But some of the topics are just so interesting because I think it really just proves that the pet is so much more to us than we can even see in front of our own two eyes. Like,
100%.
so there's a post here: how getting a dog can help you face your fears, letting your pet lead the way. Like, talk to me about some of those things.
Yeah, so, I mean, letting your pet lead the way, there's sometimes when, you're having one of those crazy days and there's a million things to do. But as you said, like, you wake up in the morning and there's another being that's dependent on you. And so just sometimes when there's no time and you don't have the energy, like, just doing the things that they love to do, just because they love to do it, and also because it gives, I don't know, it gives me joy to see Clutch. For example,
Yes.
Clutch loves to run through the woods. And she's not always the best with other dogs in closed spaces, but like, I can manage her, and she loves to run through the woods. And so if we're going on any road trip, we will stop. I'll map out, the conservation areas, or like some places where we can, stop and go for a hike. And I think it's what it's done for me, which was the unexpected thing, is it forces me to slow down. Like, I am a person
Oh
who
God,
moves at,
100%.
right? And so that's forced me to slow right down. Clutch has some reactivity. So she's got fear reactivity to being in, like, with dogs, other dogs, not with humans. If she feels like she's getting closed into a space, or she's got resource guarding. So if there's food on the ground and she has found it and another dog takes interest, like, she can snap. I have to manage that. But one of the things that really has surfaced for me is that's really helped me manage my own reactivity and my own reactions to triggers, and helping create the space between something that is going to make me potentially go crazy,
Yeah.
creating the space to allow myself to, like, take a
Yeah.
breath and respond versus react. And that's
Yeah.
something, how could I have known when I got Clutch? Because when I got Clutch, she wasn't reactive too. And that's another thing that I learned, that over time, reactivity can develop. Um, and I learned, I mean, patience is one of the biggest lessons
Oh,
that I've learned,
yes.
right? I mean, just
100%.
even, I didn't, e- I got Clutch when she was probably around 10 or 11 months. So I didn't really go through the super puppy phase, but
I
you
did.
did, it sounds like, and you have to have patience for that. And dealing with behavioral issues and reactivity, you also have to be incredibly patient when you're like, your dog is snapping at another dog and you're pulling them back. You have to
Mhm.
be like, you have to stay calm and patient no matter what's going on. and that progress doesn't always happen in a straight line. Like, you
Yeah.
can have a good day and the training you're doing with your dog is like you're winning, and then the next day it's like it's gone to shit. So like, just a
Yeah.
reminder, like, nothing is a straight line up, 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 right?
Well, the patience thing I didn't even think of until you just mentioned
Yeah.
it, but oh my God. Like, you have to remember that if you yell at your dog, they won't remember it 5 minutes later.
Yes.
Like, so it's like pointless on top of it. And the hustle culture of, I'm sure, your former executive life, right? Is kind of like, I know that Stevie has made me slow down for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, well, I thought I was going to do this. I'm actually letting Stevie lead the way on this walk, and we're taking a detour now.
Yeah.
you know?
Yes. Yeah. And you also realize, like, they only have so much choice in
Yeah.
their lives, right? And so another part of letting them lead the way is like, hey, like, the walk is their time, right? So
Yeah.
like, yes, go. This is your time.
Yeah.
This is the one time you get a choice. You decide whether we go left or right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for if my mummy has a Zoom call, but
I purposely didn't click on the Substack that said, "Can we talk about death?"
oh,
Because
that's you.
I didn't want to get sad, but can you tell me what's in it?
So here's the thing. That actually was a Substack of Jeff Siskind and Steve Pratt. That was from their Substack, but it relates to midlife and all of the themes that
Okay.
I've kind of been grappling with, but I know what you're thinking about, and it comes up in the podcast, which is
Okay,
like
good.
thinking about the day your pet will die, because
The end.
inevitably you are going to probably outlive, your pet. And I mean, it's such a poignant contract, isn't it? Like, yes, I'm going to love you to the end of your life, but I know you're probably going to leave me before. And so that does come up. I remember having all these conversations are so different, but Rose Cousins,
I
we
love
talked,
Rose
oh,
too.
she's wonderful. And like, and just talking about that, about, oh, wow, it like, you just never know. You never know. And
It wouldn't be
I can
the
get really worked up about it if I think about it too much.
it wouldn't be the first time that I pull out this pencil if I can find it. Here it is. This is a Rose Cousins pencil. You might have it too.
Oh, wow. No, I don't.
Impending Mortality Awareness Society, which is something that came out of one of her pandemic albums.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's so
Yeah,
good.
because I had interviewed her for a channel I was programming on SiriusXM North Americana. We played a lot of her music, and
Okay.
yeah, like, so this death thing is an interesting thing, but like, whether you're thinking about it from a human perspective or a pet perspective, and it's about, like you said, making the best of the time that we have. And like, so if the walk is gonna go in a different direction to make the furball happy, then that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And also, like, I can't take Clutch everywhere, obviously, but
Yeah.
if there's going to be an option of going on holiday, obviously not to Spain or somewhere, but like, that this is her, like, her life is going to be so much shorter. Like, I am intent on like filling it with as
Yeah.
much good stuff as I possibly can.
Yeah. So, okay, are you interviewing? Tell me a little more about like the way the podcast is going to work. And just so you know, you will have a link to the trailer and to follow along and subscribe on your favorite app in the show notes. Are you interviewing just known people or also some unknown people? Like, what does it look like?
It's great question. It's known people, but like, our definition of celebrity 20 years ago was like when we had like, however many 5 major networks where we knew the actors and whatever. They're known within their worlds, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we were just talking about Rose Cousins. For
Yeah.
sure, a lot of people will know about Rose Cousins, singer-songwriter from the East Coast with just a beautiful voice and beautiful lyrics.
Yeah.
But like, we've got Jonathan Brinksman, who is the dad of the Siberian Derpskis. So a pet influencer, like they're 2 huskies, Clutches,
Yeah.
half husky. So within that world, known, right? So the idea is like to take people that, you think you might have known.
Yeah.
Suser Lee, who's this
Yeah.
incredibly disciplined
Chef.
chef, world-known chef, and then the effect that his husky Nyla has had on his life. has been amazing. So it's a bit of everything. It's a bit of influencers. We've got a chef. We've got authors, musicians,
Cool.
total of 12.
Love it.
Cats, dogs,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and mention of other animals too.
Okay, because there is a post which I'll leave you to go explore yourself. Are you a cat person or a dog person? It's so funny. I'm cat sitting right now. My
Okay.
neighbor's in Japan, so I like take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go feed the cat now. Like I'm gonna go deal with this.
I guess you're a dog person.
I'm a dog person, yeah. And Stevie, oh my God, you should see Stevie around this cat. She's like, no, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It's a
funny.
thing. It's a thing.
Well, what an amazing project. It just is coming from the right place. I think the world needs this project right now. And if
Thank
you
you.
too are a pet lover, you got to check out the Furball Confidential podcast coming real soon.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, great chatting with you. And is there anything else we should know about? Any other projects you're working on outside of this podcast? before we
Any
wrap?
other projects? No, this is the big midlife project for now. Stay
Okay.
tuned. Who knows what is going
Yeah.
to be coming down the pike.
I've been forgetting to do this part of the podcast, which is supposed to be an integral part of women in media. So I'm bringing it back. If you could nominate some women in your media world who you admire and you think have great stories that might be shared on this podcast, who would you suggest I have on?
I think some of the people that we've already mentioned.
Sure.
Danny and
Danny's been on.
Danny has been on. Has
Yeah.
Talia been on? Talia,
No,
listen,
Talia has not.
her ears are going to be burning here, but I just have so much time for this woman. She is so incredibly talented on so many different levels, and also like has a history, like a background in musical theater. And I think she can just do just about anything, and she kind of is. She's got her hands in so many pots. So I'm gonna give a big old shout out to Talia Schlanger because I think the world of her.
Amazing. Sounds awesome. And if I need a connect for Anna Marie Tremonti,
Oh yeah.
that'd be cool too.
Oh my God, for sure. She would. I'm sure she'd love it.
Especially since I was not expecting you to use the terms badass in the same sentence as her. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was fun.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had a ball.